Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I am excited about this show today. Before I introduce you to our guest, here's a quote just for this episode. The sense of urgency necessary to succeed in entrepreneurship is that of a fireman. Quote, run into that burning building, damn it. People are dying. Our guest today.
Wait a minute, who's the author?
I mean, I posted
Is
it on
that a
Threads
Jay
like
Doran
5 minutes
quote?
ago. Yeah, well, okay. Welcome to Your Culture Received. Today we have the one and
Oh my God.
only John Duffin, coach, mentor, voice advisor. If you need MC, he's your guy. If you need someone to kick you in the ass, he's your guy. If you want to listen to podcasts, great podcast, he's your guy. And today we're going to talk a little bit about this quote, but a lot about culture, winning in a market, in any market. And over this course of some of these episodes and series, different topics around leadership, sales, marketing, entrepreneurship. So welcome to the show. And if you're listening to this, and if you don't have anything better to do, keep listening.
So that's a perfect setup, Jay. Thanks for having me back, man. It is absolutely a blast to think that we've gotten to do this series of episodes, and you've been kind enough to also show up and switch seats with me on a bunch of occasions on my own podcast. I think it's absolutely awesome, and I
How
love
do
the
I
quote,
do
by the way.
this? How do you think I do this show, the Culture Matters podcast, where it's not binary in the sense where I'm either listening like as if I don't even exist. I'm just, wax on, wax off. Someone mentioned this morning the mirror. I'm the mirror, or mirror, the reflection of the guest. So that's one piece of the dichotomy, or some arrogant know-it-all that won't shut up and alienates their own guests. How do I avoid that binary? How do I just have a conversation?
Here's how. Here's how. And my God, that you can go from quotes from Kierkegaard to wax on, wax off. I feel like covers such a wide range that it doesn't feel like you're in any sort of a box. And that's what makes it fascinating. And not to mention, no, you're not arrogant. None of that second part is you. None of it. So yeah, I'm just glad it's fun for me to attempt to keep up. And that's really what I see is just I attempt to keep up with you, which takes some doing, but it's always fun for me. It's always fun for me. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be back.
What do you think of this quote? The sense or this thought, right? The sense of urgency necessary to succeed in entrepreneurship is that of a fireman. By the way, identity politics, calm down. It's, fire day. I couldn't do it right today. It was off the cuff. I wasn't thinking. And yes, I do represent patriarchy at this moment. But that of a fireman, fire person.
Just a man.
Hey, listen, I understand there's consequences to words. Run into that burning building, damn it. People are dying.
Yeah.
Is that just toxic masculinity? Because it could be. Or is there truth to it? I mean, you're an entrepreneur, meaning you've decided to call yourself in charge, like me and others listening to this.
Yeah, right.
What do you think what is that valuable, or is it just a stupid thought from an adolescent without any dependence?
No, it's so I 100%, without sounding like a complete butt suck, I will say I 100% agree with the quote. And I think you learn it after you become an entrepreneur. I think it would be impossible to know that answer or to believe in that quote or that truth unless you're actually doing it. And I've been thinking of that a lot lately because, like I said, in terms of the way that my business has pivoted and morphed and elevated in some aspects, changed in others, that sense of freedom that you have for being an entrepreneur there is a big price to pay for it. And that's the urgency.
Is
Things
it
are really real in that regard too, you know?
but I couldn't get out of the comedy of the part where, you only understand it if you do it, which I agree with, but at the same time, it's like, are we in a cult?
Yeah, right?
Right.
No, but I think the reality is this. I think until you've built the infrastructure of a team,
Yeah.
until you, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to take my own words back because it applies to somebody who has the infrastructure. The realization that either you're a successful entrepreneur and you've built your team and all that stuff, the realization that people are directly accountable and need you, not in some subservient sort of way, but their livelihoods, feeding their families and all that stuff. It's not some nameless, faceless board of directors or what have you, that they're looking to you not just for guidance and opportunity, but the realization that they actually really need you to help them. And if you haven't built up the infrastructure, well, then this is when you actually, that sense of, oh my God, nobody's going to help me but me. And this time of the year, when it's earlier in the year, first quarter or whatever the case may be, when it's earlier in the year, I think that sort of thing, like you feel the pressure. I think you do. And so it's, what do you do with that sense? I think it's like, if you treat it like the sense of urgency, where it's like, yeah, you got to move, man, you got to move. You've got, whether it is building the business or executing and not just staying in planning mode or pushing things down the line. High performance coach that I work with calls it like just kicking the can down the road. You know what I mean? It's that sense of the urgency comes from it's like bills have to be paid, business has to be booked. No one else is helping. And I don't know if I danced around that too much, but I really believe I have felt that. And that's why it's like the freedom comes with a heavy price.
You think having it all on the line has to some degree helps entrepreneurship? The beginning,
Right.
stages.
I'll speak for me. I don't answer for. I'll just speak from my own experience. Eventually it does. And what I mean is, I'm the type of person where I face a challenge. I've done that. I'm grateful to say that, but I also can be struck with the sense of, oh my God, this is really real, and retreat. And I know that doesn't sound like it says much about me, but the reality is this. At first, I could be intimidated by really tight deadlines, and then I hit them, but it doesn't mean I don't feel it in the very beginning, which is why I say eventually. I'm not always excited to think like this current 2024. I wasn't thinking this is amazing. And I wasn't. I was feeling like a lot has to be done. It has to be done quickly. And I have to be laser focused. And I say that because even when I say it at certain times, I haven't always done it. Whereas for me, this current year, that's absolutely the mantra. You make the important decisions. You treat it with the urgency that it is. It's without treating yourself as self-important.
So I could barely get out of bed. It's like 5:30. I don't want to work out with the trainer,
Right.
even even a little. Like,
I can't imagine very few people who really do at 5:30 in the morning want to do that.
zero interest. We're going to do things that, I mean, I have a belief that they're working. I could feel
Yeah,
better.
I see it in you.
And then, well, thanks. And then still fat, but thanks.
No, but I see progress, and that's what you're looking for.
Like yeah, I would like to be better. So by like 7:10, I have the first Zoom, the first show.
Right.
Red Talk today. Shout out to Nathan Merrill.
Nice.
That went well. Next show, awesome. Great interview.
Right.
Not the show, more of an interview. that was done by 9ish.
Mhm.
I think, and then by 11, I'm like, fucking hate this shit. The fuck am I doing? This is stupid.
I'm with you, not I'm
Let's
with you,
fuck
not at you.
this. You know,
Right?
how many fucks can I say? And then I get to
Right.
hear, my better
I
half
have several, and that
just
was good.
working, getting shit done, like
Right.
on the other side of the house. And I'm thinking, I've done enough.
Mhm.
I could go to bed. Oh, there's some commitment. I could move this. I could move that.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's some things this afternoon that I'd be a prick if I moved it, so I could take a nap.
Yeah.
And somehow I just did it though.
Mhm.
Did the 11. I did the 12:30.
Mhm.
Did the 2. Did the 2:45. Now it's like 4. Here we are,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I feel better about who I am as a person now.
One. Yep. Mhm.
Now, who's to say if I went to sleep and I justified all the things that I've done
Mhm.
great the last 8 days,
Mhm.
I'd probably feel good about myself too. I wouldn't. I could lie to myself,
Mhm.
come up with all these reasons why I'm great, despite just
Mhm.
being so like done
Mhm.
5 hours ago.
Yep.
And it's interesting to think about that.
Mhm.
Yeah. First of all, could I have done more?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could I have done less? Yes, absolutely. What would have been the consequences had I decided to follow that emotion earlier this morning out of nowhere about it?
Mhm.
Totally random. Like, God, I don't want to do this shit. And
So
I like
then
this
you
shit.
don't. Jay, here's what's running through my
What would the
mind.
consequences have been?
Oh, for the short term, nothing. The short term, absolutely nothing. But here's the problem, as I learned, which is what that part of my own DNA, which is I came to realize that satisfaction of snuggling up a little bit longer in bed or, it is such a short-lived pleasure. And so, you know what? I'll hit snooze. You know what? I'm gonna get up at 9 instead of 4 AM, right? This
Yeah.
or whatever. And it feels great to me for maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then my mind starts, the wheel starts turning like, oh, you could have done that, or you should have done that, or maybe I should do this, or what if I don't do that? So I've found for myself here's where the urgency helps me as an entrepreneur and what you described. You just said, I feel better about myself as a result. So for me, 1000%, I I know for me, and I would imagine for like the clients I've worked with and most people that I communicate with, you know when you've worked hard enough. And I know it sounds weird. You know it. You just know. So when you just said a minute ago, well, could I have done more? Well, when you've done the sufficient amount, even if the answer to that question is yes, you don't care. Because you inherently know when you've done. I just believe that. So when you are doing things like filling in holes, rather, oh, hey, an opening occurred. Want to great, and I think
Yeah.
the urgency really ultimately makes you feel better. It
I
just
think
makes you
it
feel
comes to
better.
mind, people, the idea of retirement,
Yeah.
it makes sense that retirement
Mhm.
became a thing
Yeah.
based on how hard past generations probably
Yeah.
actually worked.
My God, I'll give you
Like
an
they may
example.
have
Oh.
actually worked to death
Mhm.
to where they were like, we'd rather do nothing.
Nothing.
Like today,
Mhm.
I don't think and I'm just saying with the body.
Oh, with anything. So my
Imagine working with
dad,
the body and the
right.
building and the chopping and the
Oh, so my dad was a printer when he was alive. His profession, my dad was a printer. And when you think of what a printer does today, as opposed to say 30, 40 years ago, when the way that my dad described his workday would be lugging 100-pound rolls of paper across a big factory floor and then grinding out on his feet all day and then lugging another 100-pound weight. I can remember when he retired and it was done. I never saw him busted up over oh, I'm not doing anything anymore, because it was all physical labor. Now, for God's sake, I didn't even know there were printers anymore. I know there are. I now know a new part, but they're not lugging hundreds of pounds of physical, like, things all day, every day. Or to you, another philosophical reference, the Flintstones, when they're at the rock quarry. And I mean, that was based upon a lot of people's reality. So
Mhm.
for myself, I'm learning, because technically I'm at the age where I could say, I'm retiring. Um, but I know there's a couple things factoring into play. One is for myself, I never, like, even in corporate, and I was really happy with what I did in broadcast ad sales and sales management, really happy about it. And it was a great fun run. But it's still, even then, was when I realized not 100% of what I wanted to convey or say or do. You know, if I was thinking I want to go back and take one more round in broadcast ad sales like the punch drunk fighter, well, that's one thing. I don't know that I have that degree of work in me. But what I know is, as an entrepreneur, the urgency comes from you got something to say and you have no idea how long you're going to have to say it. So it's the message I'm conveying. It's the message I look for others to convey. It's the effort that's required to, as an entrepreneur, to make myself credible to other people so that they see, oh, he's an option, or they're an option, or whatever. So the urgency comes from dreams fulfilled or squandered. And so the last thing I'd want to be able to do, and God, it's such a cliche, of that realization of regret. But you hear it a billion times, but it would be, I can feel that when I make poor decisions, like I'm not going to do X today. I really feel it, and I feel it fast. And to me, the urgency that you talked about comes from that bad feeling. And so then I just correct it. And that's the good news with an entrepreneur. Then you just go in and correct it. Try not to have it happen. But if that happens, I fall short. I don't optimize the time or the results or what have you. You could fix it immediately. I don't have to wait till Monday. Oh, it's the weekend. I don't, you know what I mean? It's like
I think employers are harder on their people when they're not doing what they, it's less than knowing, it's feeling. Because
oh, that's
if
100% true.
knowing is,
Mhm,
I'm aware that I'm deceiving myself and not
mhm,
keeping my word.
mhm,
It comes in and out like a wave on a beach.
yeah.
But feeling, like the
Mhm,
intuition that I'm not,
mhm,
the feeling or the
mhm,
sense that I'm not doing what I need to be doing, I see
mhm.
when I observe corporate environments, that gets artillerized,
Good
projectile
choice of words.
to the subordinates.
Yeah.
Like there's an overemphasis of accountability
Mhm,
proportional to the lack or actuality of
mhm.
responsibility of the
Yep.
leadership.
Yeah.
The less
And
responsible the person in
mhm,
a position of power able to respond to their commitments,
mhm.
the more overwhelming accountability they seek of their subordinates.
When there's so many broken wheels in corporations or in departments of corporations, say, maybe it's not all in corporations in totality, but maybe it's divisions in a corporation. I think that's the number one reason, is that sense of, I don't know what my purpose is, but I got to demonstrate worth. So let me make my team fill out more reports. Let me lean into them harder. Not let me think about how I can innovate or how I would be able to add additional value. You're exactly right. You push it down on somebody else and you treat that as if that's a contribution and it's nothing more than a deflection.
Is awareness driving our culture insane?
Oh God, that's a good question. Um, that's a great question. Here's the best shot that I can give in terms of an answer. So for me, it's the realization that that matters. So I don't think if you asked people 30, 40 years ago what they were aware of in terms of their work environment, it didn't matter. It's not like they were dumber or that they didn't have, you know, the mind. It just didn't matter. Well, it's my job and that's what I do my job and that's what you do. And then quitting time comes and then and then off you go to do anything but the job. And so you might have had the awareness, but it was really easy to just push it away.
What if, what if self-awareness is a path, a path to ideology because it's the negation of individuality?
I'm going to say it out loud to make sure I understood. All right, no,
Me
you have
too,
to say it again.
me too, by the
Most of
way.
it.
I don't know what I'm saying either. What if self-awareness is a path to ideology
Mhm.
because it's the negation,
Mhm.
the negative
Mhm.
negation of individuality?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for repeating. Yeah, likely. I really believe that as the original question based upon like entrepreneurs as opposed to corporations, that that sense of it's more the spotlight is put more on yourself, I believe, as an entrepreneur. So that, you know, the big fancy camera light is thrown in your face more by you. By you. So you have to be more aware. Whereas in a corporation, whether it's your superior, whether it is the vice president of X or the senior VP of Y,
They'll tell
the
you what's wrong.
awareness, they don't need that much awareness. They need to have things done. They need to have things done, and it is often what they're defining in priorities. And so,
Good point.
and so when you
Okay, wait,
have,
let me get this straight. The
yeah, sure.
institutions, the structure of the institution
Mhm.
is influencing behavior because there's boundaries.
Definitely.
You're constantly being told who you are, what not to do,
Mhm.
and that's leading you
Mhm.
to what to think
Mhm. Mhm.
within a parameter of what I can't
Absolutely.
do. So what I can
Mhm.
do, who I am.
Mhm.
Well, I'm this role, and
Right.
this is my title, and this is my
Mhm.
job description.
Mhm.
This is what I don't do, and this is what I do, and this
Mhm.
is what I can do within this context of what I can't do and what I can do. So you're
Exactly.
saying in the
Mhm.
absence of that,
Mhm.
when you're all on your lonesome talking to
Yep.
the crowd
Mhm.
as a content creator, where the fuck that is?
Well, right. How can you not be wildly aware?
Well, I would argue that it may be a call to the necessity of awareness,
Okay.
but awareness, it would not be a consequence of that because everything happens in a vacuum. All
It
you
wouldn't.
have is fans or people you block.
Mhm.
Meaning you could be saying, yeah, oh, yeah, I
No,
agree.
right,
It'd be
right,
a
right, right.
call to
Mhm.
awareness,
Mhm.
but by no measure would I argue that would be a byproduct of being siloed against the culture because now it's just
Mhm.
me and my fans.
Mhm.
And fuck the critics. There's no surveys here, ma'am.
Right? There's nothing, right? I don't see the what's it WUFO? I think that the survey forms that go out, which are your own. Here's what
What
this is
entrepreneurs doing a survey for them if they're an entrepreneur of what? We're stuck in the infantile.
5 stars.
All I can handle is 5 stars. You don't believe in me. Nobody believes in me.
Mhm. But five
That's why
stars.
I'm doing this fucking
Mhm.
company.
Right.
What happens
Because
when everybody's an entrepreneur, but no one is?
well, you know what'll happen. Everybody's results will ultimately drive downward. Here's one of the things I was thinking about from a practical example, though, of what I notice and what can change, right? In terms of one of the things that is knowing the roles. I remember being in one of the media outlets, and one of the big choice of words is as the superiors, when I would deliver the words or when they were delivered to me, is your or my expectations. Well, I expect from you to deliver blah blah blah, and as if you were the parent who was talking to the little kid. My expectations are that you will deliver 4.7 million in sales revenue, and my expectations are so. it's hard to be demonstrating individuality or awareness when you are speaking like somebody's parent to a little kid. So I remember being called out by one of my former employees, literally imitated me when I tried to throw that word around, your expectations are, blah, blah. And I remember how ugly it felt when they did it and how right they were. So what I learned and when I coach people, oh my God, I'll never forget it. And it's like, but here's what you learn. Rather than necessarily just worrying upon sometimes the word awareness can sound selfish. I'm aware. I've become aware.
It's such bullshit.
Right. So instead,
Spectrum,
what I'm thinking is from that perspective. So what did that teach me? My ability to be able to hear someone that day enabled me to change the way that I speak with people. So I never said that again. I never said that. Here's what we're looking to do. Here's what we're looking to achieve. Here's the big picture. You and I have talked about this in prior episodes. It's really important to provide as much information as possible to your team. So rather than worrying about your own awareness or worrying about making others aware, just make them included in the whole thing. Here's what we're trying to accomplish in this department or this organization. Here's where the entire role is. Here's where I see you best fitting it, and this is what we're looking for as a result. The only way you get buy-in is worry a little bit less about awareness and parenting and talk to people and coach people in regards to big picture, your role, how it could be fulfilled, and legitimately how I can help.
How about this?
Yo,
the world is bipolar. Stop trying to control its emotions.
What day of the 30 days of thought? What day of the 30 days of thought will I find that? Because I love it. Say it again for me.
I'm just posting all
the world is bipolar.
If you're not following me on Threads, get your life together and get with the program.
Get with the program.
Start following people that have something to say.
May I? My expectations of you are that you follow Jay Doran on Threads. My expectations are that you.
No, I'm posting this net. Like, this is what we have to do with these interactions.
Right.
Everyone should be on Threads. Why? Because I'm on there and I just project everything that I'm supposed to be doing.
And I'm sitting here waiting for you.
Yeah.
To applaud.
So this is the thing. This is what here's something that comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's too much to ask employees to live at a standard inaccessible to anyone other than a saint.
Well, because it is. And my thought is, here's the difference to me, the primary difference of being an entrepreneur as opposed to being in the corporate chain. And it is fixable in the corporate side, but you have to have a little bit of guts to be able to do this, which is you are calling more of the shots. That sense of urgency that you are feeling means you have to make more concrete decisions, which means when you are incorporating people, you have to be more honest. Legitimately honest, be able to convey that you don't have all the answers, to be able to convey that I actually need you as someone. It is not a gift that you're here, that I actually need you here, and here's how we're going to accomplish this. One of the ways that I really believe when I'm speaking to anyone in a corporation is somebody has to have guts. It's hard when it's one individual to be able to say, all right, I'll be the one that has guts, because they put themselves at risk. But somebody has to. Somebody has to, whether it's the person, Jay, that's hiring you in the organization, that we need you to help us solve these corporate issues, move a lot further up the food chain, get our team to do complete buy-in so that we are hitting all of the corporate goals and our stakeholders are satisfied. Well, somebody has to have the guts. So whether it's the guts to say, I need you, Jay, or I need you, John, that's guts. That's guts. And so You have to get the buy-in at the corporation. Well, why do we need him? Why don't you just do it? Well, that's the guts move. You've got to show some vulnerability. So I believe in my heart that the awareness that you talked about earlier comes from the sense that you're not going to do it all by yourself. You're just not. And so even if you're working alone, if you can get somebody to just take a little bit off your plate, well, that's the beginning of team building. And in a corporation here, the advantage of the corporations are they have the teams. They're already assembled. You just have to be able to use them. So you want to really be aware, make yourself a little bit vulnerable. Take a little bit of a risk, a calculated risk, to let people know that you don't have all the answers and that I'm looking for help. So whether it's help downward, help upwards, help sideways, whatever it is, hiring a coach, better utilizing your team, not coming off as authoritarian, I believe that helps the urgency. And in terms of the activity, 1000%, you got to move. You got to move.
Share this episode to a friend. If you have any heart, share this episode. Please leave a review on the Culture Matters podcast. If you have any sense of morality, share this episode.
Decent, even basic decency makes certain, and a good review. We don't want your bad ones, only great ones.
We'll see you next time on the Culture Matters. Oh wait, I gotta stop recording. I'm all over the place today. Have a good let's try that again. Have a good week. Have a nice life. If you ever listen to this again, it's your culture received. You gotta have fun. John Duffin,
You gotta have
thanks for
fun.
coming back. Please leave a
100%.
review.
Anytime and always.
You know, it'll be really helpful if you could leave a critical review. Where do you think I can improve? Not John, just me. And we'll see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.
Gutsy move. Gutsy move.